Have you gone from program to program to program to program to lose weight and you haven't had any luck? I hate to tell you, the problem isn't the program. Stay tuned.
I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer, and I could not wait to get that intro out because look who's back on!
I'm here. I am here, fresh from the gym.
I could not wait and it took us a week. We had to plan this a week ago. Can you, guys? Cari Thompson, my sister, MSNRN, she is back and she is your favorite podcasting guest that I have on. And Cari, thank you for being here.
I am so excited to be back. I really missed it. Although I've been listening to your podcast, I just listened to the one you put out this week and I thought it was great. And so you've had some amazing content, some great guests, but I am really happy to be back. And we have some fun stuff to talk about today.
Yeah. And this podcast was inspired, we have fallen rebels. We call them fallen rebels. We love you. If you're a fallen rebel and you're still listening to this, thank you. We love you. You can always come back. We have multiple ways you can enter back into Code Red for free or paid. I mean, even as low as $17, for the reset program. Like, there's so many ways to get back into Code Red, but this podcast was inspired by one of our fallen rebels who was massively really needed to lose a lot of weight and lost a lot of weight on Code Red, still was another 100 pounds from goal. But I think she was upset because of something I said. That's usually what happens, and decided to gain her weight back. And she went to a different program, and it happens all the time. And we just saw it yesterday with somebody that left Code Red and went to a different program. And it's like, guys, are you going from program to program? I mean, because the problem ain't the program.
People, and as a former fatty, I understand this. For those of you that don't know, I used to weigh, close to 300 pounds and have kept that weight off, that 100-pound weight loss or so, for many years. But I will tell you that even now, Cristy, when we did the semaglutide, the pill, Ozempic. I was trying to say omeprazole, but that's for your stomach. I don't know what I was thinking. Omeprazole. Everyone's like, I take it every day. When we were doing that, I was even like, maybe I should try it. And I was like, Cari, stop. So there is a part of us, even recovering sugar addicts, even people that get their weight under control, Cristy, there's just this part of us that still wants the next best and easiest thing. And so I think that's somewhat the driver in these behaviors that we see with rebels.
What kind of things? Now, people talk to you a lot easier than they talk to me. And you get DMs, you get emails, you get people that tell you all the time about kind of what they're thinking when they leave Code Red. What are some of the general comments that people say when they go try another program? What are they saying is the reason for them trying it?
That's a great question. I am usually pretty cool with whatever program people want to try. Like, go do it. I took fen-phen. I tried the lemon pepper cayenne. I did the cabbage soup diet, which you starve on. I did Weight Watchers. I mean, I've done them all. So Jenny Craig, there's not a program out there, had gastric surgery. There's nothing out there that you're going to tell me and I'm going to be like, well. But what frustrates me the most, Cristy, the comment that makes me that it triggers me. It, like the kids say, I'm triggered. The one that triggers me the most, Cristy, I'm shook, is when they say, I need to go to a program that's not restrictive. Can I say it pisses me off. And this is the point I want to make for this podcast, Cristy, is that it's all restrictive. It's all restrictive. I do not care what program you go to. And remind me to tell you about a conversation that took place in the gym this morning that perfectly correlates to this. I do not care what program you go to. There is I'm yelling. There is some form of restriction. There is, and there's no way around it. And if you think that a supermodel or anybody that's lost weight or anybody that keeps their weight down, if you think they're not performing and incorporating some form of restriction, you are smoking crack. Every program, whether it's doctored up or not, or prettied up or painted on the outside, or if it has pills, if it has ribbons, y'all listen, it's restriction.
Yeah. I used to, ain't nobody getting out of the rules. And I used to train celebrities in New York City, and I saw firsthand, you see Marvel Comics, you see the movie from 10, 15 years ago, the movie 300. I was the co-trainer on some of those actors that did the movie 300 with Spartan soldiers and how they looked. I have been the assistant trainer for two NBA guys. And I have seen it all, but actors, you see the actors that have the really great bodies on the Marvel comics and the different superhero movies. You have no clue. You don't even you want to talk restrictive. Those guys are doing 2-a-day workouts. They're doing all kinds of things. Guys, before I got on stage for the Emerald Cup in April of 2023 for my bodybuilding transformation, I was working out close to 5 hours a day. It's no different than the actors that are playing superheroes in these movies. It's incredibly restrictive, way more than you or I could ever do. And don't sit there and tell me that eggs and bacon and steak and asparagus and cream cheese and cottage cheese is restrictive. Because even the people that you see in the bodies that you admire, they are following some heavy rules.
Cristy, now tell me, I'm going to make a statement. Tell me if you agree with this. I'm proposing, because the word restrictive, again, it triggers me so badly because, here's my statement. There is not a person out there that, unless they have a gastric problem and they can't process food and it just goes right through them, there's not a person out there that is eating whatever they want, whenever they want, that can maintain a healthy weight. It does not exist, except for maybe, I'm thinking, maybe like the world's strongest men, those guys, and they're overweight, but they're also huge dudes. And they're eating 25,000 calories a day or something crazy like that. They could probably eat whatever they want, whenever they want, but that takes a toll on their health.
I was just going to say, I've watched documentaries and I actually follow some people on IG that are strongmen and stuff. Their cholesterol, they have metabolic markers. They are metabolically broken. Right. They are on the verge. They're pre-diabetic, type 2,
they're not normal weight either.
No, but they're really strong and they eat whatever they want, but they're metabolically on the inside. They actually have quite a few health problems.
So Cristy, I propose that there is nobody out there that maintains a normal weight that eats whatever they want, whenever they want.
Even if they do, you got to take into consideration the health on the inside. So you can even expand that comment and say, no one can maintain a healthy weight and healthy metabolic numbers by eating anything they want. Nobody. I 100% agree with you.
And so I don't care. This is the point of our podcast. I don't care what the name of your program is. I do not care if it's dieting deprogrammed. You're going to be fat if you do that. You may deprogram from dieting, Cristy. Oh, okay. I got to insert this. Cristy, are you ready? Cristy and I went to a Mark Hyman conference in California. Where was it? It wasn't Palm Springs.
Right outside of LA.
Okay. Right outside of LA. And we went to this intuitive eating. Do you remember, Cristy, how much we hated it? So this lady was super skinny and she used to have a weight problem and she let her body tell her what to eat. Okay. And I am not suggesting this, but there's a point to this story. Okay. So she was like, if my body, when she was heavy, her body told her to eat cookie dough for 3 months. So she ate cookie dough for 3 months. She gained a bunch of weight, but she just did it. She ate intuitively. Then all of a sudden, eventually you get sick of eating like that. It's like Halloween candy. I mean, eventually you're tired of it and you want a salad. her body started turning around, and everyone was like, it's a miracle program. Like, this is it, intuitive eating. But let me tell you, if I took that lady and followed her for a day, I'm here to tell you, she does not eat thousands and thousands of calories. There's a reason why she's able to maintain that weight, because she has figured out how to restrict in some form. And her way of doing it is by saying, hey, I'm full. I'm not going to keep eating, even if it's cheesecake. And it's a great way to live your life. It's not very nutritionally balanced because if your body tells you to eat, tacos for 10 days in a row, like it doesn't make, there's some flaws to it, but everyone's like, how does she do it? It's a miracle. She eats what she wants. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. Not volume. No, she doesn't. So she had this dinner. Okay, I got to tell this part. She had this dinner and we all had to sit. They had all the food on the table and it was like kale and some lean, Cristy and I were starving, some lean chicken and all this. And she was like, and we were hungry. Everyone was hungry. And she's like, sit there and just think about what you want to eat, what it's going to taste like. Cristy's like, this is crap. I'm out of here. I want to eat. We were both so hungry. It was hilarious because we weren't used to the idea. Now, I think we've both become a lot more intuitive since then with our eating. And I'm glad about that. But I will say that it was hilarious experience. It really was.
Yeah, we went to the deli after that. That was super frustrating. And speaking of volume, like here's an example. This morning, I had a picture of myself measuring out some half and half for my coffee. And oh my gosh, I got all kinds of comments. Half and half. Why would you not use full fat cream? Why would you not use whipping cream? You always say full fat is the way to go. And I said, oh no, it is. It's just that I ate a bunch of fat with my ground beef, had a lot of fat in it. So I had ground beef and it was a high fat ground beef. And so I needed to cut down on some calories and some fat. And because we don't want 100% fat, it's got to be balanced. Like Code Red, we believe in a 60-30-10. And so I used the half and half to balance out the amount of calories. I just didn't have that much in my budget. And I needed to cut back. And it's like, and people get so focused on like, oh my gosh. And they're not thinking volume matters. But I want to hear about the conversation you had this morning at the gym, sis.
Okay. The gym was very interesting. So standing in the circle was a gal that's been coming to my class for a while. She's probably 7 to 10 years older than us, Cristy, and overweight, but, I'm not you. Cristy can guess how much anyone's overweight just by looking at him. She's amazing. But so a little bit, maybe 30 pounds, 40 pounds, not like, oh my gosh. And then next to her was the gal that kind of next to you, helped me get started on my teaching classes journey. And she's an older gal, like, older grandma, and she's in phenomenal shape. I mean, she's small. And even though she has lax skin, her muscles are just like, I mean, she doesn't have very high body fat. I think that'd be fair to say. Wouldn't you think, Cristy?
100%.
Great. She's small, but she's a little person to begin with, but she keeps her weight under control, 100%. And then somebody else. And, this gal was saying, I am eating this every day, and I can overhear them and they know what I do, but I don't be like, everyone listen, if you're not doing Code Red, I just don't make it a thing. And if someone asks me, I'll answer, but I never butt into conversations. So this gal was saying how much she was eating in a day, and she was not eating much, but it was heavy in the sugar. So she's having a protein shake at 7 or 8 p.m. because she's going to fast till 8 the next morning. So she wants to eat. And Cristy, it had fruit in it and then peanut butter. And I was listening to that. And then for lunch, she's having a soup. We all know that ain't going to keep her full. But it wasn't a ton of calories. But it was the wrong calories. It was all the wrong foods. And I'm listening to that and I'm watching the thin in shape instructor that's been an instructor since, like, I'm not kidding, like 65 or something. And she is saying, well, I eat 6 times a day and I do this and I do that. And giving this gal advice, which works for her. But the thing is, she is not taking in volume. If I were to follow her around, just like the gal at the conference, I'm just here to tell you, at her age, with her metabolism, even though she works out, she's just not taking the volume. So you can't tell someone 20 years younger than you, 15 years younger than you. I eat 6 times a day and it works. It does work for her, but it's not going to work for this gal. This gal is going to have a metabolism more similar to mine. And she's shaped just like me, the big hips, smaller on top. And so I'm looking at her and Terry, the instructor, is being very sweet, trying to help her out, and she says, I've been doing this for months and I'm not losing any weight. And I'm thinking, well, I know why you ain't losing weight. And it was very interesting because the program isn't the problem. For her, it is the type of food. And Terry's saying, you need to eat more. So how did I get dragged into this conversation? Here's how it was. Cari, Terry says, wouldn't you say that there's no women that should eat less than 1,200 calories a day? And I just looked at her and I said, well, it depends on the person. Like, it depends on the person. Like I said, Terry, that's unfair. I'm not going to eat what you're going to eat. You're not going to eat what she eats. None of you are going to eat what my husband eats. That's unfair. It's not a one size fits all. So what I found was interesting is it's not the program. She's trying hard. She's putting in effort. She's sticking to it. She's not eating chips. She's not going to the McDonald's drive-through, yet she's not seeing results. So it doesn't matter what the program is if you're not incorporating some of the basic principles. But I got dragged into that conversation about somebody thinking that whatever they're doing is working for them. It was just like going to that intuitive eating. And she's saying, I eat when I'm hungry, I stop when I'm full. But I'm here to tell you, she is restricting. Terry, the instructor, the older aerobics instructor, she's doing a form of restriction. They're not eating what they want all day long. So I don't care if you go to an undiet. We're just going to deprogram ourselves. Then you're all going to be fat if at some point you don't restrict. And maybe restriction is the wrong word, Cristy. Maybe we should say choices. Maybe we should think of a more PC word. But just it's a tough one for me.
There's this program that was recently sold to ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson bought, but it's Lady Boss. It's Kaylin Poulin. And Kaylin owned Lady Boss and like I said, since I think about a year ago, sold it to Russell Brunson. He bought Lady Boss, and it's based around shakes and pills and exercise. And it targets a younger gal in their 20s and 30s. And that's what Kaylin, Kaylin has 2 kids. She's married to Brandon, and she's young, in her 20s or something. And so, so at their Lady Boss Live every year, they believe in you can have whatever you want as long as you're having this pill, the thermogenics and stuff. And one of the speakers at the Lady Boss Live was in the elevator going back to her room. She told me this herself. And she said that a bunch of Lady Boss girls came into the elevator and they had pizza stacked up in their hands, just boxes of pizza. And they were all overweight. And they were just like, we don't restrict, and it was like, oh my gosh, and of course the lady that was a speaker was also a Code Red Rebel. And she was just like, Cristy would have it come apart. Like, I would absolutely, but it's the whole mentality behind it. Like, you can eat whatever you want. You can't. You will not lose weight or you will gain weight. And we see this happen to so many people who try to switch programs.
Even Weight Watchers, Cristy, and we talked about this on our Weight Watchers special, even in order to be the people that have been successful at Weight Watchers, they're not saving all their points for a Twinkie. I'm just here to tell you.
Right.
Like, they are eating heavy fruits and vegetables. They really are. They're heading heavy veggies probably. Yeah. And they are sticking with it. And that's why they've been able to lose the weight and keep it off, because they have to restrict. I don't care what the program is. Now, I will say that sometimes the diet mentality can be negative. And I can see why people want to do the undiet. Because, and JJ Virgin talks about this word diet is has such terrible connotations, a sensible shake for dinner and 2 healthy meals. It's such a terrible connotations. She's like, but this is the food you eat. We should come up with another word for it. And I love when she says that, because I agree. But I feel like the idea that there are bad foods and good foods, I don't like that. And I think that you and I and I've noticed in Code Red, you've gotten away. Foods that help you take your life back and foods that go against plan. And I use the words when I talk to people, off plan and on plan foods. And that just makes, it doesn't have to be negative. I mean, I don't think, let's even think of like, let's not even talk about junk food. Like, let's talk about fruit. Obviously in Code Red, we limit the types and the amount of food you're going to eat, the fruit you're going to eat, because of course, fruit is sugar. Sugar causes inflammatory responses. Is it better than a Twinkie? Yes. There's good, better, best, but still we're going to limit that. But I think, Cristy, I would say something like, hey, that's an off-plan food. It's not, how could you say that fruit is bad? Well, go to Hawaii. Go to Hawaii where there's a lot of fruit. How many obese people are there? And I'm not talking bad about the people
and diabetes
and diabetic. Oh yeah. Diabetic, obese. And again, I'm not putting any cultures down. I'm just saying, if your diet is fruit, like you cannot maintain a healthy weight and eat only fruit. And you cannot do it. I'm just here to tell you. So I do believe that we could probably change our talking. Like I wish that we could adopt this more on plan, off plan, instead of cheating and non-cheat. I wish that we could, and that's just me personally, because I don't want to put things into Anne-Marie's mind. But there are foods that help you get to your goal, and there are foods that will not help you get to your goal. That's what we have to say. And
that's
the people
what I like to say.
Yeah. And there are people that I've talked to, they're like, instead of saying I'm cheating, they'll say I'm having an off plan meal. Okay. That's your choice. As long as you're going to gain weight, you're going to have an inflammatory response, and it's going to take you a week to get that weight back off, then that's your choice. So I think if we can kind of shift the way of saying things, but this idea of an undiet, this idea of diet deprogramming, I am here to tell you that the people that founded it, if they do not have weight problems, it's because they are cutting back in some area. They've figured out how to restrict. 100%. It does not exist. I wish it did, Cristy. I wish there were a plan out there where we could eat whatever we wanted, but it absolutely does not exist.
I like to say that we eat like this kind of food's going to take me towards my goal or away from my goal. And also we like to say, we recorded a podcast like a year ago called Taking a Break from Caring. And sometimes when you take a break from caring, it's 30 minutes. Then you're back on plan. But then sometimes you take a break from caring and it's 3 years and you've gained back 102 pounds. And so you can take a break from caring. That's kind of what I like. I took a break from caring on at lunchtime, and you can, that kind of thing, on plan, off plan. You're right. I don't like the word diet, even though the definition of a diet is the food a species habitually eats. And so it's like, but of course it has a negative connotation in our society. And there ain't nobody out there that's eating whatever they want with no repercussions. Even on Instagram with those influencers, they show you them like this with a donut. They're not actually eating it. And if they are, they might be having one bite. And if they're doing that, they're doing it maybe once a week, or they haven't had sugar. And it's really so much of it's fake out there. You don't see what they're doing for the other 31 meals they're having that week. You're only seeing one picture, a snapshot in a moment. You don't even see them swallowing it. You don't even really know if they're eating it. And it makes, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does this, sis. He always shows himself with his big stack of pancakes and on his cheat meal, but you don't see the rest of the story. And it's just simply not true that is like, you think, oh, I can have that. Oh, no. There is some restriction or rules to every single thing you do.
I was just going to mention The Rock. That's exactly what I was thinking of. So I used to follow him on Instagram until his values did not align with mine any longer.
Mine too. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, unfollow. I'm sure people have been doing that with me. But anyway, so I thought it was interesting. I mean, he would have the most delicious, and he would say, get on board the cheat train. And I mean, he would have like food for 10 people. But the thing that I have to realize is, number one, Dwayne Johnson's carrying around a ton of muscle, and you got to feed that muscle. And number two, he's probably eating clean the other meals. So during the week, he's eating the chicken and the rice. I'm making that up. I don't know what he eats, but he's eating his whatever meals a day. And then once a week, he gets to do that. And that's it. I mean, he's on a more restrictive diet than any of the rest of us.
And just because PEDs, sis.
Oh yeah. I mean, just because just because he shows that one meal, it means the other 99.9% of the meals are on point. So he ain't getting up at night and eating Oreos down his cupboard. I mean, he's not doing it. I'm just here to tell you. And he's working out hard. So even the things that you see that you think are so like, wow. Do you know some of these, not every model, but some of these supermodels, they tell you they're smoking cigarettes and drinking Diet Coke. That's what they're doing all day long. So they don't eat. Smoking cigarettes, drinking Diet Coke. They're restricting. They may look beautiful, but they are incorporating some form of restricting. Remember that when I taught the video series that you guys can purchase about weight loss surgery survivors, that it goes through all the pathophysiology of weight loss surgery. We talk about the tips and tricks if you failed. It's a great, great series you guys could pick up. It's a video series. It comes with supplements. Anyway, one of the things I talked about is there's only 2 ways to lose weight. And number 1 is volume restriction. And number 2 is change the plumbing, absorption. So what a gastric bypass does is it changes the way you absorb food and it changes the amount you can take in. So the same could be true of any program. If you do Weight Watchers, it's changing the volume that you can bring in. If you're doing Code Red, we can't change the absorption, but we're changing a volume. So everything is either volume or absorption. I mean, those are the only 2 ways. Even like we talked about with the semaglutide, Cristy, it changes the volume of food you bring in. It changes the way you absorb food. So weight loss is not complicated. It is absorption or it's volume. Those are the only ways that it really works. Even volume of calories or volume of certain dense foods. So like you could eat celery all day long. It just doesn't, it's not very nutritionally dense. So you guys see what I'm saying is that I don't care what bag of goods people try to sell you. It is not going to work. And it's not going to work in the same sense of this freedom. This freedom that everyone thinks is out there just does not exist. Now, there is freedom in maintenance. I will say that with Code Red. There's freedom, but there isn't all out. Right. It's controlled freedom, you guys. Yeah. Cristy and I cannot eat whatever we want all the time. We cannot do it. Now, maybe 1 meal a week or 2 meals a week, like an 80-10, a 90-10, 80-20, 80-10. Where's that? 80-10, 90, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That might exist.
Right.
That does exist. But still, we have to make choices daily. So I don't care what they try to tell you. I don't care what they try to sell you. You're still going to restrict. I don't care if you want to undiet. I don't care if you want to de-diet. I don't care if you want to go to hypnosis. Even hypnosis changes the volume you take in. Mm-hmm. So folks, it's not complicated. And to think that you're going to run to another program is so frustrating for me. It's hard for me. Somebody said to me the other day, I'm doing this new weightlifting thing and I'm going to take in X amount of calories a day, which I knew was about 700 more than they needed. And I was like, well, beware. It's not going to work like you think. It sounds great, but it doesn't exist.
I saw a Rebel. I think the biggest problem for me is when people they leave Code Red and they, without having lost all their weight, and they start an exercise program. And yes. So now you've got someone who's ripped, who's 11% body fat, who's super lean and ripped and everything, trying to write this program for this grandma who is still 60 pounds overweight. Anyway, and they start this weightlifting program, which is just barely just little tiny hand weights. This is not CrossFit Games. You're not going to the Olympics. This is very, very basic 30 minutes, 3 times a week with just very light weights, but they start them on this real heavy diet. Anyway, I saw this Rebel at the retreat that had been a long time Rebel, had kept a lot of weight off for a long time. And I saw she was starting to gain quite a bit, close to 20 pounds. I could just estimate just from what I could see on her body. And she was like, has started a weightlifting program. And I was just like, you're getting fat. You ain't putting on muscle like you think. It's been 2 months. You can't put on muscle. I mean, you're talking a half a pound a month of muscle if you're lucky. And she ain't doing that for no bull crap hand weights 3 times a week, 30 minutes. Like, oh, please. You're getting fat. That's body fat, because you're eating like you're competing in the Olympics, but you're not training like you are, and it is not working. And I've seen it happen so many times. These people, all of our rebels, you can think of one off the top of our head that you know of that started started this really hardcore exercise program, and she got fat, gained back like 60 pounds.
I'm just here to tell you folks. And the other lie you're going to be told is just watch what you eat, but you're going to work out hard. That's the other lie. And trust me, I have bought into that lie. It does not work. It does not work. I don't care what they're telling you. It is not true. I feel like the only time I've ever seen it be successful with the hard working out and eating more calories was when Cristy prepped for her program and other prep people. But you got to realize that's a level of intensity that Jane, the housewife from Nebraska, is not doing.
And I was heavily monitored too, sis.
And it's heavily, it is
by
heavily.
A doctor, 2 doctors, and a coach and assistant coach.
If I started doing it, Cristy, I would put on weight. I would put on weight, thinking that you're, of course, I do not think that anybody that is not doing a prep, again, if we said it once, we said it 1,000 times, you cannot lose weight and exercise hard at the same time. Those are competing goals. Now, Cristy's situation was different. These are people that are doing a whole lifestyle. This is a prep. This is monitored. This is, and go do that. If you want to do that, Cristy knows some great programs. Go do that, but do it. Don't cherry pick it. Right. And guess what? There's still restriction. There's still restriction. Yes. Oh. There's still restriction. You think Cristy was out doing whatever she wanted when she was prepping? No. So it doesn't exist. It's a fairy tale. And the more you believe these lies, the further down the road of undieting you get. And don't blame me. Cristy's laughing at me. Don't blame me when you are up a significant amount of weight because you're undieting. No program exists that lets you eat whatever you want in any volume you want. It is not out there. Because if it were out there, Cristy Code Red, I would be on it.
Mm-hmm. One of the hardest CrossFit classes I ever went to was in Lehi, Utah, when I was out there filming, and I went several times, and it was a huge 6 a.m. class, and it was really, really hard. And every single person in there, and it was a huge class, like as far as there were a good 25 people in that class. I mean, the gym was big. It was huge. Everyone was morbidly obese. Everyone was morbidly obese. Like we're talking 100 pounds or more. And it was one of the hardest classes. They were in better shape than me. And so I'm telling you, because I know what they're doing. They're not restricting, and you have to restrict. Even Thomas DeLauer has to restrict. And I mean, all the fittest athletes in the world, even that have 6% body fat, they're still restricting. There are still rules.
Even your teenagers, they're like in one and out the other. Oh, they just Bobby eats whatever he wants. Well, Bobby's going to be 40 and have a pot belly and have a heart attack. Uh-huh. So you're not setting your kids up for any success by letting them eat whatever they want just because it seems like they can now. Just because it seems like it can. I tell you, this whole, I got to be in a program that's less restrictive. Oh, Sally. So you want to be able to eat whatever the HEW hockey sticks you want. That's what you're trying to tell me. It's not about restrictive. It is about you wanting to be able to do whatever you want.
And it just doesn't work.
It's rebellious, Cristy.
Yeah, it really is. The problem is not the program. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. It is so great to have Cari back on the program. I love it. And we got a couple more coming up with her on it. So you guys, we'll see you and her on the next one. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you are looking for some hardcore accountability to get and keep this weight off, look no further because I've got VIP Connection. This is the ultimate connection to me, just short of me sleeping on your couch. You're going to get 3 daily messages from me in real time directly to you. You're going to submit your weight every Friday. We're going to go over it in a weekly meeting on Sunday nights, and I'm going to give you feedback. You'll have access to a monthly VIP breakfast with me in Boise, a monthly VIP supplement box, access to any workshop, any PDF promo that I hold for that month. You'll have access to the Ringside membership. And best of all, you'll have a fully customized nutrition program written just for you. We're talking about over $3,000 total value for $397 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Go to coderedlifestyle.com/VIP to check that out.